Okay, welcome back to the Chapter 5 table layouts, and this is part 3 where we're going to be talking about saving and using table layouts and trying to explain to you what a table layout is. Let's say that I've gone through all of the tables that are in my selected set, and I've modified all of these tables to fit the way I want them to look. And I want to be able to keep this look so that I can come back and refer to it at a later date. Well, NASIS has the ability to come in here and click on the NASIS menu, and under Manage Table Layouts, you can save this as a table layout. And then once you click on Save, it'll ask you for the name, it'll prompt you for a description, and then all you do is say OK, and that table layout will then be saved as your table layout with your name, whatever you've named it. And you can always come back and use that table layout again. I'm going to cancel that out because I don't plan on saving it, but I do want to go in and show you how to manage these table layouts. I've already shown to you in the beginning on part 1 that I had to restore my table layouts because I had already chosen a particular table layout in the previous video session. So here I can come in here and click restore the table layouts to defaults, and when I do that, it'll say it's going to reset all the tables. I say yes, and I come back up here and I close out. See, it's still working. Give it a couple of minutes, only for the fact that I have so many things open. I have so many tables open. And so now we're back in to the component table. It had closed out all the child tables, and now the component table and all the previous tables that I had open now reappear back as they originally did in the default mode. So that's great and that's good, but I want to use a table layout that I had created previously. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select a table layout. And what appears is a table, and this table is manipulated just as you would manipulate any other table. One of the things that I didn't show you previously that I want to show you now is you can come in here and on the funnel, you can click on the funnel, and that funnel will allow you to filter that particular field. Well, I want to filter on NSSC Pangea. That's the site that I use. And here are all of the table layouts by name, sorted by name. And I want to be able to pull in the one that I created for myself. And I can say apply. I chose this particular record, and I can apply it. And then what's going to end up happening is it's going to go through all the tables and manipulate all those tables based on the way I saved this Paul R. Fennell table layout. So now you see I've got the table layout the way I originally had set it up and saved it. I've got my sort columns, I've got my columns that are frozen, and so I can scroll across and look at my data based off of that particular table layout that I had created. Now let's say, for instance, let's come in here. I realize we're only looking at the component table, but this works at all table layouts, depths. And so I'm going to choose to open up my horizon table. Notice the way even my horizon table has been manipulated. And as I scroll across here, you can see these are the columns that I've got identified. Well, let's just take, for example, free iron. You know, I really don't want free iron to appear because of the data that I'm analyzing doesn't have it anyway. So how can I add that particular edit to this table layout? I can come over to the table layout, and I've already I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select that table layout. Once again, using my funnel, I'm going to filter down to Pangea, and this time I am going to check out. So I'm going to do a checkout, and then it's going to go up. Remember, the only way you can edit data is by checking the data out. It puts a lock at the national server on that particular record. Nobody else can edit it but you. It comes in and tells me that it is now checked out. So I can now come in here and manipulate. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this. give it a second. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say I want to remove free iron. So I'm going to click and drag. Free iron no longer appears. I'm going to come back up to NASIS. I'm going to do a table layout. I'm going to save my table layout. Remember, you have to save it. This is one of four instances where you literally save information back to the local database. The other instances are the reports, the queries, and the interpretations. So remember, this has been saved back to the local database. It will not be stored on the national database until I upload my changes. So I'm going to say OK. And I've now modified my table layout. I've now modified that particular table layout so that I can, when I come back in, the iron is no longer appearing there. So that gives you a good handle on how that operates. I've already shown you that you can come back in and check it back in using the check-in. So go to select. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to come back over to NASIS. I'm going to table layouts. I'm going to go to the select table layouts, and I'm going to do a check-in. And I'm going to do a check-in after I've uploaded all my edits to the local to the national database. So that gives you a good idea on how you can manipulate your table layouts. And what can you manipulate? Well, you can manipulate the sort columns. You can manipulate those columns that are frozen. You can manipulate the width of all the columns, and you can manipulate where these columns actually appear. I can click, drag, and move columns over so that they appear where I want them to appear. So if you're tailoring things down to a specific instance, for example, coming back over to managing my table layouts, I want to show you that there is a myriad of different ways people have identified the things that they want. And I'm only going to pick on my work. I'm going to come over here to Pangea, and you can see that I've got a point data analysis. I've got one that I've created for being able to enter the TUDs that are in the county manuscripts, because they have just a few of the features that are properties that are in PEDON. There's no reason to have all of those properties appear in PEDON when I only need a few of them. So I decreased the size of the PEDON information site and PEDON table to be able to populate taxonomic unit descriptions. I also have one that I created as a national required population for SDJR. So whenever I'm doing a QA on an SDJR project, I can very rapidly identify, are these particular fields populated. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply on here, and now I'm changing from my Paul R. Fennell over to my SDJR initiative national required. So I'm changing to a different layout. Okay, and now we return back to, you can see that we've got a different table layout based off the one that I selected. So you can now understand how these table layouts can be manipulated to your advantage to be able to work on this information. So I'm going to close this out on this component table. And so now, after closing out, I'm showing the data map unit table. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to open up the component table again because I want to show you the difference. And here now, you've seen that it's kind of refreshed itself back to the same system or the same table layout that I had when I closed it out. So everything, I closed it out, opened it back up, still reappears the way it was before I created it. Gives you a handle on how these table layouts can be used to analyze your data. Okay, that ends this section, and then the next part 5 will go into how we can use the grouping to be able to analyze our data a little bit better. So this ends part 4.